Close your eyes for a moment and recall your worst nightmare. That suffocating terror that jolts you awake, heart racing, sheets drenched in cold sweat. The images that linger in the corners of your mind long after sunrise, casting shadows over your waking hours. Now imagine there existed a creature whose sole purpose was to devour those terrors, to consume the darkness that haunts your sleep and leave you peaceful. In Japanese folklore, such a being does exist. It is called the Baku, and for over 1,000 years, it has served as guardian of the sleeping, protector against the demons that dwell in dreams. The Baku occupies a unique position in the vast pantheon of Japanese supernatural beings. Unlike the trickster kitsune or the vengeful yurei, the Baku is not a creature to be feared or appeased through elaborate rituals. It is, by nearly all accounts, a force for good, a benevolent yokai that asks for nothing except the nightmares you wish to be rid of. Its very existence speaks to a profound understanding of the human psyche, an acknowledgement that our minds create their own monsters, and sometimes we need help banishing them. What makes the Baku particularly fascinating is its chimeric nature. This is not a creature that evolved naturally in the imagination, but one deliberately constructed from pieces. The body of a bear, powerful and protective. The trunk and tusks of an elephant, wise and patient. The paws of a tiger, fierce and capable. The tail of an ox, steady and reliable. The eyes or ears of a rhinoceros, ancient and knowing. Together, these elements form something greater than their sum, a being that embodies strength, wisdom, and guardianship in equal measure. Legend tells us that when the gods finished creating all the animals that would walk the earth, swim in its waters, and fly through its skies, they looked around their workshop and found scattered remnants, pieces that belonged to no particular creature, odds and ends left over from the great work of creation. Rather than waste these divine scraps, they fashioned one final being, assembled from what remained. This creature, born from necessity and invention rather than design, became the Baku. There's something beautiful in this origin story. The idea that even the leftovers of creation could become holy, that incompleteness could transform into wholeness. But before we delve deeper into how the Baku functions as guardian of dreams, we must first travel backward through time and across the sea to China, where this creature's story truly begins. Because the Baku, despite its central place in Japanese folklore, did not originate in Japan at all. In the mists of ancient China, during the golden age of the Tang dynasty that stretched from the early 7th to the early 10th century, there lived a poet named Bai Juyi. Also known as Bo Juyi, he was among the most celebrated literary figures of his time, known for his accessible verse that spoke to both scholars and common people. Among his many works, Bai Juyi wrote about a mythical beast called the Mo, a creature said to dwell in the valleys of southern China. The Mo of Chinese mythology was itself a hybrid, described as having the trunk and tusks of an elephant, the paws of a tiger, the tail of a cow, the eyes of a rhinoceros, and the body of a bear. Sound familiar? This chimeric creature was hunted not for sport, but for protection. Ancient Chinese texts explain that sleeping on a pelt made from Mo hide would shield a person from disease and pestilence. The creature itself was said to consume nothing but copper and iron, a diet that marked it as clearly supernatural, existing somewhere between the material and spiritual realms. Bai Juyi popularized the belief that even drawings or carvings of the Mo could ward off sickness and evil spirits. During the Tang dynasty, It became fashionable to have Mo imagery painted on folding screens or woven into blankets. Since actual Mo pelts were impossible to obtain, the image itself was believed to carry protective power. This marks an important shift in Chinese folklore, the moment when representation became as powerful as reality, when symbol could substitute for substance. The Mo entered Japanese consciousness sometime during the 14th to 15th centuries, a period known as the Muromachi era. This was a time of significant cultural exchange between China and Japan, when Buddhist texts, artistic styles, and philosophical concepts flowed across the sea between the two civilizations. Along with these exchanges came stories of mythical creatures, and the Mo found fertile ground in Japanese imagination. But something remarkable happened during this cultural translation. The Japanese did not simply adopt the Mo as it existed in Chinese folklore. Instead, they transformed it, adapting its purpose to address a different kind of threat. Where the Chinese Mo protected against physical illness and malevolent forces in the waking world, the Japanese Baku would defend against the terrors of sleep itself. The creature that ate copper and iron became the creature that ate dreams. This transformation reflects a fundamental difference in how the two cultures approached the supernatural. Chinese folklore, at least in its treatment of the Mo, focused on tangible threats, disease, bad fortune, physical danger. Japanese folklore, particularly in its yokai traditions, has always been deeply concerned with the liminal spaces, the boundaries between waking and sleeping, living and dead, human and other. The dream realm was understood as a place of real danger, where evil spirits could attack the vulnerable mind. Nightmares were not merely unpleasant experiences, but actual spiritual threats that could affect one's health and fortune in the waking world. The earliest Japanese manuscript to describe the Baku is the Sankai Ibutsu, meaning mysterious creatures of mountains and seas, compiled in the early 17th century. This text describes the Baku as shy and benevolent, possessing the same composite anatomy as its Chinese predecessor. Interestingly, this early Japanese source does not yet attribute dream-eating abilities to the Baku. It describes the creature purely as a protective force against pestilence and evil, maintaining its Chinese characteristics. The shift to Dream Eater appears to have occurred later, crystallizing by the late 18th century. A woodblock illustration from 1791 specifically depicts the Baku as a destroyer of nightmares, showing the creature with its elephant head, tusks, and trunk, along with horns and tiger claws. By this time, the Baku had fully transformed into the guardian of sleep that would dominate Japanese folklore for centuries to come. But why dreams specifically? What led the Japanese to reimagine this protective creature as a consumer of nightmares? The answer lies partly in another strand of Chinese mythology. Ancient Chinese texts mention a deity named Bochi, whose name sounds remarkably similar to Baku in Japanese pronunciation. Bochi was said to consume dreams, particularly nightmares. People who suffered from bad dreams could face northeast at dawn and invoke Bochi's name 7 times to be rid of their night terrors. Some scholars believe that the Japanese Baku represents a fusion of the protective Mo and the dream-eating Bochi, a merging of 2 separate Chinese traditions into one uniquely Japanese creature. This kind of mythological synthesis is common in folklore, where stories from different sources blend together over generations until their separate origins become impossible to untangle. The Baku as we know it today is likely the product of multiple influences, shaped by cultural exchange, linguistic confusion, and the particular needs and fears of Japanese society. By the time Lafcadio Hearn, the famous Irish-Greek writer who adopted Japan as his home, described the Baku in his work during the Meiji period at the turn of the 20th century, the creature's identity as a dream eater was firmly established and widely known throughout Japan. Let us look more closely at the Aku's physical form, because in folklore, appearance is never arbitrary. Every element carries symbolic weight. Every feature tells part of the story. The Baku's chimeric nature is not merely fanciful, but deeply meaningful, each component animal contributing specific qualities to the whole. The body of a bear provides the foundation. Bears in East Asian symbolism represent strength, courage, and maternal protection. They are creatures that inspire both respect and a sense of security. The bear's presence in the Baku speaks to raw, protective power, the ability to stand against threats through sheer force if necessary. Yet bears are also associated with dreams themselves, their long winter hibernation, linking them to the realm of sleep and the unconscious. The elephant's trunk, tusks, and often the entire head dominate most classical depictions of the Baku. Elephants symbolize wisdom, patience, and good fortune in Asian cultures. The trunk in particular is a remarkable organ, capable of both delicate precision and tremendous strength. It can gently pluck a single leaf or uproot an entire tree. This duality makes it perfect for the Baku's task of carefully extracting nightmares without disturbing the beneficial dreams or the dreamer's deeper hopes and aspirations. The elephant's tusks add another layer, suggesting the ability to defend and to dig deep, to excavate even deeply buried fears. Tiger paws bring ferocity and courage. Tigers are apex predators, afraid of nothing, capable of moving silently despite their size and striking with decisive speed. The tiger's inclusion in the Baku's form suggests that this creature, however benevolent, possesses the strength to face down any nightmare, no matter how terrifying. Evil spirits and malevolent yokai are said to fear the Baku, fleeing from areas where it dwells. The tiger's claws make clear why. The oxtail contributes steadiness and endurance. Oxen are beasts of burden, patient and reliable, continuing their work day after day without complaint. This quality is essential for the Baku, which must be available night after night, ready to serve whenever called upon. The ox also represents agricultural prosperity and the sustenance of life, reinforcing the Baku's role as a guardian of human well-being. Finally, the rhinoceros contributes either eyes or ears, and sometimes both. Rhinoceros are ancient creatures, their lineage stretching back millions of years. They represent primordial wisdom, a connection to deep time and ancient knowledge. The rhinoceros's thick skin also suggests imperviousness to harm, an important quality for a creature that must traffic in nightmares and dark spiritual forces without being corrupted or injured by them. Taken together, these 5 animals create a being of remarkable complexity. The Baku is not simply strong, or simply wise, or simply protective. It is all of these things simultaneously, a guardian specifically designed to handle the peculiar challenges of defending the sleeping mind. The gods may have created it from leftovers, but those leftovers were chosen well. In more recent centuries, particularly from the late 19th century onward, depictions of the Baku began to shift. The creature started appearing less as a composite chimera and more as a tapir, a real animal native to Southeast Asia that bears a somewhat resemblance to the traditional Baku, particularly its trunk-like snout. This is not coincidence. The Japanese word for the Asian tapir is also Baku, and the connection between the mythical creature and the real animal grew stronger over time. Some scholars suggest that the mythical Baku may have been partly inspired by ancient descriptions of tapirs or similar animals, accounts that became distorted and fantastical as they traveled from region to region through oral tradition. Others believe the naming went the other way, that when the Japanese first encountered tapirs, they called them Baku because of their resemblance to the dream-eating creature of legend. The truth likely involves some combination of both processes, reality and myth, reflecting and reinforcing each other across centuries.
The taper connection has become particularly prominent in modern pop culture representations of the Baku, where the creature often appears as an adorable purple or pink tapir with psychic powers rather than the fearsome chimera of classical folklore. This shift reflects changing aesthetic sensibilities and the creature's particular appeal to children. But it also represents a kind of softening, a movement away from the Baku's more imposing traditional form towards something cuddlier and less threatening. But how exactly does the Baku perform its task? What is the process by which nightmares are consumed? Japanese folklore is quite specific on this point, having developed detailed rituals and understandings around the Baku's dream-eating abilities over centuries of belief and practice. When a child in Japan wakes terrified from a nightmare, shaking and perhaps crying, there is a specific remedy passed down through generations. The child should clutch their pillow or blanket tight, press their face into the fabric, and whisper a particular phrase 3 times. The exact wording varies by region and family, but the most common version is, "Baku-san, come eat my dream," or "I give this dream to the Baku." Some variations include "Baku, please come eat my dream," or simply "Baku-san," repeated 3 times. The threefold repetition is significant. In many magical and religious traditions, 3 is a powerful number, a minimum needed to establish a pattern and create a sacred rhythm. It suggests earnestness, moving beyond casual request into genuine invocation. The repetition also serves a psychological function, giving the frightened child something to focus on, a concrete action to take against their fear. After speaking these words, the child should try to return to sleep. If the ritual has been performed correctly, and the Baku chooses to respond, the creature will come during the night, invisible and silent, entering the room through walls or windows, or perhaps through the spaces between dreaming and waking that have no physical location. The Baku approaches the sleeping child and begins to consume the nightmare. This consumption is not violent or frightening in itself. The creature does not rip the dream from the mind or cause additional distress. Instead, accounts describe a gentle drawing away, as if the nightmare were smoke being inhaled. The bad dream dissipates, its emotional charge draining away, its frightening images losing their power and fading into harmless shadows. What remains in the child's mind is peace, a quiet emptiness that allows for restful sleep to continue undisturbed. The Baku can also be summoned preemptively before sleep as a protective measure. Families would keep Baku talismans beside the bed, often small carved figures of wood or ceramic, or drawings tucked under pillows. The image of the Baku itself was believed to ward off nightmares before they could form, creating a protected space around the sleeper. This preventive approach reflects the understanding that nightmares, in traditional Japanese belief, were not simply products of the mind, but actual spiritual entities or the work of malevolent forces that could be kept at bay by a stronger protective presence. But here we come to the darker side of the Baku legend, the warning that tempers its comforting promise. The Baku's appetite for dreams is genuine, and like any appetite, it is not always satisfied by a single serving. If the nightmare was not substantial enough to fill the creature, or if the Baku has been summoned too frequently, it may not stop at consuming the bad dream alone. A still hungry Baku might continue eating, moving beyond nightmares to consume hopes, aspirations, and positive dreams as well. A person whose hopes and dreams have been devoured by the Baku is left hollow, going through life without motivation or desire. They become empty vessels, functioning but not truly living, unable to imagine better futures or work toward meaningful goals. This is a fate considered almost worse than nightmares themselves, because nightmares at least confirm that one still has something to fear losing. This warning serves multiple purposes in the folklore. On a practical level, it discourages over-reliance on the Baku, preventing people from invoking it for every minor sleep disturbance. It teaches that one must learn to cope with some degree of discomfort rather than always seeking external solutions. It also acknowledges a deep truth about the human psyche, that our fears and our hopes are often intertwined, that the same imagination that creates our nightmares also generates our dreams of better futures. To suppress one completely risks suppressing the other. There is also an element of reciprocity here, a theme common in interactions between humans and supernatural beings across many cultures. The Baku offers a service, and while it does not demand payment in the conventional sense, it does require that certain rules be followed. Respect must be shown. The creature must not be treated as a mere tool, but as a powerful being with its own needs and nature. The warning about the Baku's hunger teaches caution and gratitude, ensuring that people approach the creature with appropriate seriousness. Some versions of the Baku legend include instructions for proper offerings or attitudes. The summoning should be done with sincere need, not casual whimsy. Some sources suggest that one should thank the Baku after a nightmare has been consumed, acknowledging the service rendered. This turns the interaction into a relationship rather than a one-sided extraction, maintaining the sacred nature of the exchange. The psychology behind the Baku belief is remarkably sophisticated. By externalizing nightmares as things that can be removed and consumed, the folklore provides a cognitive framework that helps people process traumatic or disturbing dreams. The act of speaking the invocation aloud helps the dreamer mentally separate from the nightmare, moving from passive victim to active participant in their own psychological well-being. The presence of the talisman provides tangible reassurance, a physical anchor in the frightening moments after waking from a bad dream. Modern psychology recognizes the value of such rituals, even for those who do not literally believe in the supernatural entities involved. The act of performing a calming ritual after a nightmare can help regulate the nervous system, the repetitive phrases serving a similar function to breathing exercises or meditation. Having a designated object associated with safety and protection, whether a Baku charm or any other talisman, provides what psychologists call a transitional object, something that helps bridge the gap between fear and comfort, dependence and independence. The Baku's integration into Japanese daily life went far beyond simple bedtime invocations. Across different historical periods, particularly during the Edo era from 1603 to 1868, an entire culture of Baku-related practices developed, weaving the creature into the fabric of everyday existence. During the Edo period, which was characterized by relative peace and remarkable cultural flourishing, pillows took on special significance in Baku worship. However, these were not the soft, downy pillows familiar to modern sleepers. Traditional Japanese pillows of the era were rigid constructions made of wood or ceramic, with a small padded section, often filled with buckwheat hulls, positioned to support the neck while keeping elaborate hairstyles intact. These neck-supporting pillows were sometimes carved in the shape of the Baku, transforming a utilitarian object into a protective talisman. Even the mighty warlord Toyotomi Hideyoshi, one of the most powerful figures in Japanese history, used a Baku pillow. This detail is particularly striking because it shows that belief in the Baku transcended social classes. From the humblest peasant to the most exalted samurai, Japanese people across the social spectrum sought the Dream Eater's protection. The fact that a man who commanded armies and shaped the destiny of nations still felt the need for protection against nightmares speaks to the universal nature of human vulnerability when we close our eyes and surrender consciousness. The kanji character for Baku was frequently embroidered onto softer pillow covers and bedding. This practice served multiple functions. The visible presence of the character acted as a ward, protecting the space around the bed. It also demonstrated cultural knowledge and good sense, marking the household as one that understood proper spiritual protections. For children, seeing the character might provide comfort, a visual reminder that they were guarded as they slept. Baku imagery extended beyond bedding into wearable art. During the Edo period, the ingenious netsuke system developed as a solution to the lack of pockets in traditional Japanese clothing. These small carved toggles attached to the sash of a kimono and held small containers called inro, which could store personal seals, medicine, coins, or other small necessities. Netsuke quickly evolved from purely functional items into miniature sculptures of remarkable artistry. Many netsuke featured Baku designs, intricately carved from ivory, wood, or ceramics. These pieces served dual purposes, being both practical accessories and protective talismans carried on the body throughout the day. A person wearing a Baku netsuke carried the creature's protection with them wherever they went, extending the guardian's sphere of influence beyond the bedroom into waking life. Some particularly fine netsuke depicting the Baku have become treasured art pieces, showcased in museums and private collections around the world. Temple architecture incorporated the Baku in prominent ways that might surprise those unfamiliar with Japanese religious practices. The creature's image was carved into wooden columns supporting temple roofs, positioned above doorways, and featured on decorative panels. These architectural Baku served a similar function to European gargoyles, acting as spiritual guardians that protected the sacred space from malevolent forces. The Baku is one of only a handful of creatures considered holy enough for such prominent display in religious architecture. Most yokai, even those not explicitly malevolent, would be inappropriate for temple decoration. But the Baku's status as a protector rather than a trickster or threat made it acceptable, even desirable, as a guardian figure. Worshippers entering temples could take comfort knowing that even this sacred space was watched over by the Dream Eater, ensuring that the spiritual work conducted within remained undisturbed by darker forces. A particularly charming tradition involves the takarabune, or treasure ship, associated with New Year celebrations and the custom of Hatsume, the first dream of the year. The takarabune is a magical vessel carrying the 7 lucky gods, figures from Japanese mythology representing various forms of good fortune. During the Edo period, images of the treasure ship were commonly created and sold, often featuring the kanji for Baku on the ship's sail. The practice was to place this image under one's pillow on New Year's Eve, ensuring that the first dream of the year would be auspicious. If one happened to have a bad dream despite this precaution, the image could be ritually destroyed, burned, or thrown into a river to carry away the bad omen. The inclusion of the Baku on the treasure ship's sail provided double protection, both attracting good fortune through the lucky gods and defending against nightmares through the Dream Eater's power. Some takarabune images included palindromic poems, verses that could be read the same way forward or backward. These linguistic tricks were believed to possess magical properties, adding another layer of protection and auspiciousness to the already potent symbol. The combination of the 7 lucky gods, the Baku, and palindromic verse created a kind of perfect storm of positive spiritual energy, the best possible start to a new year. Families passed down specific practices around Baku invocation from generation to generation. Grandparents taught grandchildren the proper phrases to speak, the right way to hold one's pillow, the importance of gratitude toward the creature. These teachings were part of the larger project of raising children within the protective framework of traditional beliefs, ensuring that young people had tools to cope with fear and anxiety, even in the absence of adults. By the early 20th century, specifically the 1910s, It had become extremely common for Japanese children to keep a Baku talisman at their bedside. These ranged from elaborate carved figures to simple drawings made by parents or the children themselves. The ubiquity of these talismans demonstrates how thoroughly the Baku had become integrated into Japanese childhood, as familiar and expected as nightlights or stuffed animals in other cultures. What did it mean to grow up with the Baku as a constant presence? To have this option of calling upon a spiritual guardian whenever fear struck in the dark? The social and psychological implications of the Baku belief system are worth examining closely, as they reveal much about how traditional Japanese culture approached childhood, fear, and the management of emotional well-being. For children, the Baku provided agency in the face of helplessness. Nightmares are particularly traumatic for young people because they feel utterly beyond control. The dreamer is trapped in a frightening experience with no ability to change it or escape until the dream releases them. Waking brings relief, but often leaves residual fear and anxiety. The Baku gave children something they could do about this situation. Rather than simply lying in the dark hoping the fear would pass, they could actively call for help. This transforms the child from passive victim to active participant, a shift that carries psychological benefits, even if the supernatural aspect is discounted. The ritual also provided a structured way for children to communicate their distress. In some traditional cultures, including periods of Japanese history, stoicism and emotional control were highly valued, and excessive displays of fear might be seen as shameful or weak. But calling upon the Baku was not only acceptable, but encouraged. It gave children permission to acknowledge their fear and seek comfort without violating cultural expectations around emotional restraint. The ritualized nature of the invocation provided a container for intense emotion, channeling fear into prescribed words and actions. For parents, the Baku belief offered a tool for comforting frightened children that did not require their constant presence. A mother could not sit beside her child's bed all night, every night, but she could provide a Baku talisman, teach the proper invocation, and assure her child that the guardian would come if called. This distributed the work of protection, making the child less dependent on immediate parental intervention, while still ensuring that comfort and safety were available. The Baku also served important functions in adult life, though this is sometimes overshadowed by its prominent role in childhood. Adults experiencing nightmares, particularly those suffering from what we might now recognize as trauma or anxiety disorders, could similarly invoke the Baku's protection. The creature offered a culturally acceptable way to address mental health issues in a time and place that lacked modern psychiatric frameworks. Some accounts suggest that the Baku was particularly important for warriors and soldiers, people whose work exposed them to violence and death. These individuals often suffered from disturbing dreams, manifestations of what we would now call post-traumatic stress. The fact that Toyotomi Hideyoshi, a military leader, used a Baku pillow suggests awareness of this connection. The Dream Eater provided a way for warriors to acknowledge the psychological toll of their profession without admitting to weakness or fear, framing their nightmares as spiritual attacks rather than personal failing. The communal aspect of Baku belief also deserves attention. Because the practices around invoking the Baku were shared knowledge, passed down through families and communities, they created common ground for discussing difficult experiences. A person troubled by nightmares could speak about calling upon the Baku, and others would understand immediately. This shared vocabulary helped combat isolation, letting people know they were not alone in their struggles with disturbing dreams. Regional variations in Baku traditions reflect the diversity of Japanese culture across different areas. Eastern regions tended toward more elaborate composite depictions of the creature,
emphasizing its chimeric nature and multiple animal components. Mountain communities sometimes viewed the Baku as a guardian of sacred spaces specifically, protecting not just individual sleepers, but entire villages from spiritual threats. These regional adaptations show how the core concept of the dream-eating guardian could flex and adjust to meet different community needs while maintaining its essential character.
A relationship between Baku belief and broader Shinto religious practices is complex.
Shinto, Japan's indigenous religion, is fundamentally animistic, seeing spiritual essence in all things. Within this worldview, dreams occupy an important space as genuine spiritual experiences rather than mere mental phenomena. Evil spirits could attack through dreams, and auspicious visions could carry messages from the kami, the divine spirits that inhabit the world. The Baku fit naturally into this framework as a particular kind of guardian spirit, a kami specifically concerned with protecting the dream realm.
Yet the Baku also existed somewhat outside formal religious structures. Unlike major kami that had official shrines and prescribed rituals, the Baku was more of a folk belief, practiced in homes rather than temples, though temple incorporation did occur. This folk nature gave the Baku tradition flexibility, allowing it to adapt and evolve in response to popular needs rather than being fixed by religious authority. The visual culture surrounding the Baku is as rich as the folklore itself. Artists across centuries have grappled with how to depict this composite creature, creating images that range from fearsome and imposing to gentle and almost comical. These artistic representations both reflected and shaped popular understanding of what the Baku was and how it should be approached. Ukiyo-e, the famous woodblock printing tradition of the Edo period, featured the Baku prominently. Master artists like Katsushika Hokusai, best known for his iconic Great Wave off Kanagawa, created prints depicting the Dream Eater. These images often showed the Baku in dreamlike settings, surrounded by swirling clouds or mystical landscapes that suggested the liminal space between waking and sleeping. The artistic challenge in depicting the Baku lay in making its composite nature coherent and believable. A creature assembled from 5 different animals could easily become absurd or ungainly. Skilled artists had to balance the various components, ensuring that the elephant trunk did not overwhelm the tiger paws, that the bear body integrated smoothly with the ox tail. The best Baku illustrations achieve a strange harmony, making the viewer believe that yes, this is how color choices in Baku imagery varied widely. Some artists rendered the creature in naturalistic earth tones, browns and grays that emphasized its animal nature. Others used more symbolic colors. White or pale yellow suggested purity and holiness, reinforcing the Baku's status as a benevolent protector. Blue or purple hinted at its connection to the dream realm, those strange twilight colors that appear in half-remembered visions. The most dramatic depictions used deep black or dark blue, creating an imposing figure that embodied the seriousness of the spiritual forces it protected against. Temple carvings faced different challenges than flat illustrations. 3-dimensional representations of the Baku needed to work from multiple viewing angles, maintaining their imposing presence whether seen from front, side, or below. Sculptors often emphasized the creature's most recognizable features, giving prominence to the elephant trunk and tusks, while suggesting the other components through texture and form rather than literal representation. These carvings were typically bold and somewhat stylized, prioritizing impact over naturalistic detail. The evolution of Baku imagery in the modern period reveals changing attitudes toward the creature. As mentioned earlier, depictions increasingly moved toward taper-like forms, simplifying the complex chimera into something more familiar and approachable. This shift accelerated in the 20th century, particularly as the Baku began appearing in media aimed at children. Modern Baku illustrations often feature rounded, cute designs with large eyes and soft colors. These friendly Baku are clearly descendants of the fierce guardian of classical folklore, but have been deliberately softened to be appealing rather than intimidating. This transformation reflects broader changes in how Japanese culture approaches yokai in general, moving from viewing them primarily as spiritual forces demanding respect to seeing them as characters that can be enjoyed, collected, and commercialized. Yet the older, more imposing Baku imagery never entirely disappeared. Serious artistic works, particularly those intended for adult audiences or created with traditional methods, still draw on classical depictions. The image of the powerful chimeric guardian continues to resonate, suggesting depths of meaning and spiritual significance that the cute modern versions cannot quite capture. Contemporary artists working in various media, from digital illustration to sculpture to tattoo design, continue to find inspiration in the Baku. Some take a restoration approach, seeking to revive and celebrate the classical forms. Others deliberately blend traditional and modern elements, creating Baku that acknowledge their folkloric roots while incorporating contemporary aesthetic sensibilities. This ongoing artistic engagement ensures that the Baku remains visually alive, continually reinterpreted for new generations and contexts. While the Baku remained relatively unknown outside Japan for centuries, the late 20th and early 21st centuries saw this dream-eating guardian achieve international recognition, primarily through popular culture exports. The most significant vector for this spread was undoubtedly the Pokémon franchise, which introduced Baku-inspired creatures to millions of children and adults worldwide. Drowsy and its evolution, Hypno, introduced in the very first generation of Pokémon games in 1996, are clearly based on the Baku. These Pokémon are depicted as tapir-like creatures with psychic powers specifically related to dreams and sleep. Drowsy's Pokédex entry explicitly states that it descended from the legendary beast Baku and that it feeds on dreams, preferring the dreams of children because they taste better. This direct acknowledgement of the folkloric source helped educate players about the Baku's existence, sparking curiosity about the original mythology. Hypno takes the concept further, depicted as a more powerful and somewhat sinister dream manipulator. The Pokémon carries a pendulum and uses it to hypnotize opponents, a detail that references both the Baku's dream-related abilities and broader associations between sleep, hypnosis, and psychological vulnerability. While these Pokémon are dramatically simplified compared to the complex folklore surrounding the actual Baku, they served as an entry point, a gateway that introduced the concept to audiences who might never have encountered Japanese mythology otherwise. Later Pokémon generations introduced additional Baku-inspired creatures. Muna and its evolution Musharna, appearing in Generation 5, are more explicitly benevolent dream eaters. These Pokémon are designed with softer, rounder forms and gentler color schemes, pink and purple hues that suggest whimsy rather than threat. Muna is described as eating dreams to survive, but unlike the folkloric Baku's warnings about consuming hopes if still hungry, these Pokémon are presented as entirely harmless and even helpful. The games describe how Muna can manifest eaten dreams as a pink mist, creating beautiful visualizations of the dream content. Digimon, Pokémon's main competitor in the monster collecting genre, also features a Baku-inspired creature called Bakumon. This digital monster takes a more traditional approach to the design, depicting a chimeric creature with multiple animal features rather than the simplified tapir form. Bakumon's abilities revolve around eating nightmares and protecting sleeping children, staying closer to the original folklore
than most other pop culture adaptations.
Beyond monster-collecting games, the Baku appears in numerous anime and manga. Series like Gegege no Kitaro, the long-running yokai-themed manga and anime, feature the Baku as one of many traditional Japanese supernatural beings. These appearances tend to be more faithful to the folklore, presenting the Baku as a powerful protective spirit with clear rules around its invocation and the dangers of overuse. A manga and anime, Holic, created by the artist group Clamp, includes a memorable arc involving the Baku. This series deals heavily with traditional Japanese folklore and the consequences of interacting with supernatural beings, and its treatment of the Baku emphasizes both the creature's protective aspects and the warnings about its hunger. Characters learn that spiritual solutions come with spiritual costs, a theme deeply embedded in the original Baku legends. Video games beyond the Pokemon and Digimon franchises have incorporated Baku in various ways. The Shin Megami Tensei series and its spin-off Persona, both known for drawing deeply from world mythology, feature Baku as recruitable demons or personas. These games typically present extensive background information on the creatures they include, educating players about the mythological sources while incorporating them into gameplay systems. The globalization of the Baku through these various media has had interesting effects on the creature's cultural meaning. For Japanese audiences, these pop culture appearances represent a continuation and evolution of traditional beliefs, keeping the Baku relevant in contemporary life, even as literal belief in its existence has declined. For international audiences, the Baku enters consciousness as a character first and a folkloric entity second, if at all. Many Western fans of Pokemon know Drowsy without knowing about the Baku, or know that Drowsy is based on something without understanding the depth and richness of that something. Merchandise featuring the Baku has proliferated, particularly in Japan, but increasingly worldwide. Plush toys, keychains, phone charms, and decorative figures depicting various versions of the Baku are readily available. Some of these lean into the cute, simplified designs popularized by Pokemon and similar media. Others take a more serious approach, creating beautiful artistic representations that honor the creature's traditional forms and spiritual significance. Interestingly, even in modern Japan, where many traditional beliefs have faded, Baku talismans remain popular purchases, particularly among parents of young children. Gift shops at temples and shrines often stock small Baku charms, alongside protective amulets for traffic safety, academic success, and good health. The Dream Eater maintains its practical function even in a largely secular society, suggesting that the comfort it provides transcends literal belief in its supernatural existence. The internet age has enabled new forms of Baku-related practice. Online communities share experiences with nightmares and discuss traditional remedies, including Baku invocation. Some people create digital Baku images to use as phone wallpapers or computer backgrounds, translating the protective talisman into formats appropriate for modern life. Social media has seen various Baku-related challenges and trends, where users share their nightmare experiences and collectively invoke the Dream Eater's protection. Western adoption of the Baku concept has led to some fascinating syncretism. New Age spiritual practitioners have incorporated the Baku into eclectic personal practices, combining Japanese folklore with other traditions in ways that would likely seem strange to practitioners of traditional Japanese spirituality. Dream journals might include Baku invocations at the end of nightmare entries. Meditation practices might visualize the Baku consuming anxious thoughts and fears, extending its dream-eating abilities into waking psychological work. Tattoo culture has embraced Baku imagery enthusiastically, particularly among people with East Asian heritage or strong connections to Japanese culture. Baku tattoos often carry personal significance related to overcoming trauma, protecting mental health, or honoring one's ability to face fears. The composite nature of the traditional Baku also appeals to tattoo artists and clients who appreciate complex, challenging designs that allow for creative interpretation and technical skill demonstration. What is it about the Baku that has allowed this creature to survive centuries of cultural change and spread far beyond its origins? Why does the dream-eating guardian continue to resonate with people across vastly different contexts and belief systems? Part of the answer lies in the universal nature of nightmares. Every culture, every historical period, every individual human experiences bad dreams. Fear during sleep is a fundamental human vulnerability, crossing all boundaries of geography, time, and culture. A guardian specifically designed to address this vulnerability therefore has near-universal appeal. The details of the Baku's form and invocation are specifically Japanese, but the need it addresses is profoundly human. There is also something deeply appealing about the idea that our fears can be consumed, literally eaten and removed from existence. Modern approaches to fear and trauma often emphasize processing, integration, and learning to live with difficult experiences. The Baku offers something different, a fantasy of complete removal. This may not be psychologically realistic, but the wish itself is powerful and valid. Sometimes we simply want our pain to disappear rather than do the work of healing from it. The Baku validates that wish without judgment. The Baku's benevolence is crucial to its enduring appeal. The world of yokai includes many frightening, capricious, or actively malevolent beings. The Baku stands out as genuinely helpful, a rare example of supernatural power that exists primarily to aid humans rather than to test, trick, or harm them. This makes the creature emotionally accessible in ways that more ambiguous or dangerous yokai are not. We can approach the Baku with hope rather than fear, seeking comfort rather than trying to appease or avoid it. The warnings about the Baku's hunger, rather than undermining this appeal, actually strengthen it by adding complexity and realism. The Baku is not a simplistic wish fulfillment fantasy, but a more nuanced concept that acknowledges trade-offs and potential costs. This complexity makes the creature feel more real, more worthy of serious consideration. It also teaches important lessons about balance, about not trying to eliminate all discomfort from life, about respecting the forces we call upon for help. In an increasingly anxious world, where rates of sleep disorders, nightmares, and general psychological distress continue to rise, the Baku offers a kind of comfort that purely medical or therapeutic approaches sometimes cannot. There is something reassuring about the idea of a guardian watching over our sleep, something that speaks to deep human needs for protection and care. Even people who do not literally believe in the Baku's existence might find value in the rituals and imagery surrounding it, using them as tools for managing fear and finding calm. The Baku also represents a more general human desire to have agency over our mental and emotional states. We cannot always control our circumstances, but perhaps we can control what happens inside our heads. The Baku symbolizes this possibility, suggesting that even the most private and internal experiences, our dreams, can be influenced through proper knowledge and ritual. This is empowering, offering hope that we are not entirely helpless before the vagaries of our own minds. Finally, there is something beautiful about the Baku's origin story, assembled from leftovers and made holy through purpose. This resonates with anyone who has ever felt like a collection of mismatched parts, struggling to find coherence and meaning. The Baku suggests that wholeness can emerge from fragments,
that what seems incomplete or discarded can still become powerful and purposeful. In this sense, the creature is not just a guardian of dreams, but a symbol of transformation and unexpected grace.
The Baku represents hope that protection exists, that fear can be faced and overcome, that even in our most vulnerable moments, we are not alone. In the darkness of the bedroom, when nightmares strike and terror grips the heart, there is a guardian that can be called. Whether we understand this guardian as a literal supernatural being or as a symbolic representation of our own capacity for courage and resilience ultimately matters less than the comfort and strength the belief provides. As long as humans dream and nightmares disturb our sleep, the Baku will have purpose and meaning. As long as we seek protection and comfort in the face of fear, this strange composite guardian assembled from leftovers of creation will continue to find believers. The Dream Eater watches still, patient and ready, waiting to be called by those who need its help.
If you found this journey into the realm of the Baku fascinating,
if these ancient stories of protection and nightmare eating spoke to something in you, then please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to History Scrolls. We explore mythologies from around the world, diving deep into the stories that have shaped human culture and continue to resonate across centuries. Share this video with anyone who might need a guardian against their nightmares.
and let us know in the comments about your own experiences with bad dreams
And what helps you find peace. Until next time, may your sleep be peaceful and your dreams be sweet, watched over by whatever guardians you choose to believe in.